Okay, I have an original performance to share with you today. It's based on an effect by Warner Miller, and I'll link that in the description below if you want to look at his original version of this. And Warner points out that the spelling and dealing procedure for this routine was popularized by Jim Steinmeier. Okay, so what I have here is I have duplicates. And I thought I would just go with the same back colors. Okay, so I have two aces all the way to the two queens of different values. So what I need you to do is go ahead and just tell me how to pick these up. You want twos, tens, queens, aces, sevens, sixes, eights, and threes. Okay, very good. Now, since we've all seen the cards, why don't we go ahead and give them a good mix here. This is a manche over under. You can do an under over as well. That would be just fine. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm speaking to you as the performer. I'm going to give you a few randomization elements that you could use if you like. Okay, so one would be to just deal out into two piles with random stacking decided by the spectator. That's important. So maybe they want right on left. Okay, so you could do none of those, one of those, or 50 of them if you like, or as many as the spectator asks for. Here's another one that you could do. It's optional, but I deal out into four piles in this way. Okay, and then ask the spectator, would they like the top row on the bottom or bottom on top? They want bottom on top. Okay, left on right or right on left? Left on right. You can do none of those, one of those, or many of those if you would like. Another one you can do is something called I call it an even up jog. So I'm jogging forward or up the even position cards. Strip those out, ask the spectator how they would like these stacked. Left on right or right on left? Right on left? Okay. And then the final one is something I call the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Okay, so what you do here is you just begin dealing until the spectator says stop. And then you go on to another pile. Maybe they say stop there. Maybe stop there. Stop there, that's fine. And stop there. So it's called first shall be last and the last shall be first because you're picking up the last pile first and then just stacking them in opposite order. Okay, so you can do one of those or many of those or none of them if you would like. And now at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to Klondike pairs of cards to the table like this, just all over the place here. Just kind of randomly. Okay, set one there. And now I need you as the performer to choose any one of these pairs as a, quote, lucky pair. In fact, this will give us a window into how successful we're going to be in the end. So which of these pairs would you like? Top right? Okay, so this is going to be our little, try not to go off the camera view. This will be our lucky pair at the, in just a moment. We'll take a look at that. And now what I need you to do is choose one card from any of the pairs. It can be the top card or the bottom card, whatever you like. So which pair would you like to draw a card from? The one in the middle, top? Okay, so which of these two cards would you like? Want the bottom one? Okay, so let me just slide this over. So this is your freely chosen card there. Okay, and then I'm going to pick these up and stack these. How would you like? You want on top of that one, this one, far right, far left, and then the final one. Okay, very good. So let's just take a look at the card that you freely chose. Oh boy, that's a nice one. Good job. It's the Queen of Diamonds. Slide these back. Camera view. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply spell out her name. And you have to realize that you randomly arrived at this. So Q-U-E-E-N, drop the rest on top. O-F, drop the rest on top. D-I-A-M-O-N-D-S. Very good. Just spelled her name is all I did. Now let's turn to our lucky pair here because it's going to give us a window into how our entire routine will end. Okay, so is there anything interesting with the pair? Oh, I would say there is. Not only is it a pair of matching values, it's the lucky number 7. Wow, how did you do that? Okay, so I would say that's pretty auspicious for the rest of the performance here. Okay, so I'm going to pick up the cards that we just spelled Queen of Diamonds. And let's take a look at the card that rose to the top after spelling Queen of Diamonds. Let's take a look at that. Oh boy, it's the other queen. Wow, that is beyond belief. Since we have such a felicitous pair here, I think we've done more than that. In fact, I think, let's just take a look. Yep. Oh boy. I want you to think about the probability of pulling this off by chance alone. Did we nail? We nailed all of them. We brought all of these pairs back together despite randomizing the cards with tremendous input from you, the spectator. That is amazing. Okay, so how does this work? Well, to perform it, you just do everything that I did, and it works perfectly. So why don't we very quickly, I'll step through just kind of a high level view of the mathematics involved as taught on my channel. Right now, this is kind of where we started, right? This kind of thing. This is called an AMP, adjacent mirrored pairs. So it's like pairs of cards as you go down. Well, if you perform a mange over, under, or under, over, what that does is it converts it to a mirrored packet. Now, mirrored just means the cards are like a reflection of each other. So if you come in on the ends, you get sevens, eights, queens, tens, all the way to the center where we get the two sixes. Okay, that's a mirrored packet. Well, when you have something like this, you have at your disposal the stay stack principle. And so what this tells you is for each divisor of the packet size, here at 16, you can deal out the cards into that many piles with random stacking from left to right or right to left, and it will preserve this characteristic. Now the cards may move around, but as you look at the ends and come in, you'll see that pairs are on opposite ends of the packet. Okay. Now 16 has quite a few divisors. 2, 4, and 8. So for example, when I dealt out into two piles, I'm using the stay stack principle. And so when you randomly stack these, this is, quote, mirrored. I'll just show you this one and not the others when we go through. Oh, in fact, the sevens stayed where they were, but the queens are different, I'm sure, the aces and so forth. Now we have the eights in the middle instead of the sixes. So you can do as many of those as you like. You can deal out into 4 piles in the way that I showed you. This will preserve that characteristic of the packet. Maybe they want top row and bottom this time, and then left on right. We also did an up jog. You remember that? I won't maybe do it again. Strip those out. Random stack. That preserves mirrored structures. And then this dealing out, this first shall be last, last shall be first, where you're stopping according to the spectator's command there. They say stop, and you just deal out. And then pick them up in opposite order. This is simply a packet reversal. Well, a packet reversal won't change the fact that a packet is mirrored. Now we have the 2s on the end, 8, 6s, 7s, and the aces in the middle. Okay? So none of that hurts the overall structure and organization of this packet. Well, just think about what I did. From there, well, I'll do it face up here. From there, I did a Klondike. You remember I Klondike pairs to the table? Well, you can see what's happening. It's bringing those very pairs together. Now we're not done. So this is where I Klondike pairs to the table. I had you, sorry, going off here. I had you randomly choose any one of these as you happen to choose the 7s as our lucky pair over here. Of course, it was face down, right? We had it kind of like this. And then I had you choose, now remember the cards were face down, right, in the performance. I'm just giving you a look under the hood here. And then you chose one card from any pair. Well, you know, if you choose this one, that's fine. Okay. And now this is important. What I did was, so let's turn them face down now. So remember the 10's there. The rest are pairs. So this is important. We have the single card here. You need to pick up one pair, just one pair, set it on top of that single card. Now set those randomly on top of the other pairs. So what that does is it puts their card in the 3rd position. Okay. Okay, so that's where this from the top. So there it is right there. Okay. So this is where the Jim Steinmeier procedure comes in, because when you have a packet of 13 cards, the third card from the top will rise to the top if you spell any of these card names that are in our packet here. Okay. And then if you look at it, they're already paired up. Of course, the spectator didn't know that. They were looking at the backs of the cards. And so you just turn here and say, oh, okay, you chose the 10. Wow, I'm really going off camera, aren't I? Sorry about that. You chose the 10 of diamonds. Okay, well, let's just go ahead and spell that. TENOFDIAMONDS. Okay. Well, let's get a clue as to how lucky we're going to be by looking at the pair that you randomly chose. Was it an interesting pair? Now, this could be any of those 8 pairs. It doesn't matter, right? The key is that they match, okay? You just happen to choose a 7, which is especially fortuitous because 7's kind of considered a lucky number, but it could be any of the pairs. You can say, well, that's a good sign. I think we're going to succeed here. And then you just point out, boy, we just spelled out this card that you randomly chose. What do you think the chances are that after spelling its name, its partner has risen to the top? Not very likely. Oh, it did indeed. And then you just say, well, I think you've done more than that. I think you've done more. And then you just push off pairs and watch their head explode. Okay, that's all you do to finish. Okay, well, thank you for watching, and take a look at other videos on the Absolute Math Magic channel.